My wife cheated while I was working double shifts to pay our mortgage, so I moved out overnight and took everything she thought she controlled. I'm a 32-year-old guy, and I used to think that hard work would protect my marriage. Back then, I believed that providing for someone was the highest form of love, so I worked. I worked like a damn mule, double shifts at the plant, freelance coding on weekends, even skipped sleep just to make sure the mortgage was paid early. I wasn't chasing luxury. I was chasing peace, stability, a future for us. For Emily and me, Emily used to say she admired that about me, how I never gave up, even when things got tight. But over time, something changed. She stopped waiting up for me. I'd walk in after 16-hour days, and she'd already be in bed, phone in hand, screen glowing in the dark like a barrier between us. I'd kiss her cheek. Sometimes she'd pretend to be asleep. One night, I came home early, boss, cut the shift short. When I walked through the door, she jolted and flipped her phone over like it burned her hand. I asked who she was texting. She said, "Just a friend from the gym." Her tone was light. Too light. Like a rehearsed lie she didn't even bother to make convincing. "Do I know them?" I asked. She shrugged. "You don't really have time for that stuff anymore." I laughed, but something in my chest tightened. I should have pressed her, should have asked more questions, but I didn't. I blamed myself, told myself I'd been distant, that maybe if I took just one night off, things would get better. But the truth was I was already living with a stranger, and I hadn't even begun to understand just how far gone she really was. The next few weeks were a blur of routine and silence. I'd come home smelling like sweat and engine grease, and she'd barely look up from her phone. Dinner, if she made any, sat lukewarm on the stove, and the only words exchanged between us were about bills or chores. I chalked it up to a rough patch. We'd had those before, but this felt colder, like I wasn't even there. One night, I finally asked, "Are we okay?" She didn't even look up. "You've been emotionally absent for months." Her words hit harder than I expected. I stood there, stunned, still holding my keys in my hand like I hadn't even fully arrived. "I've been working non-stop to keep us afloat. Emily, you know that." She sighed and rubbed her temples like I was the one exhausting her. "That's just it. You're always working. You're never here. I don't even know who I'm married to anymore." "I'm doing this for us," I said quietly. She gave a bitter laugh. "Sometimes it feels like you're doing it to avoid me." That line sat with me for days. I began questioning everything. Was I emotionally absent? Had I been so focused on being the provider that I forgot how to be a partner? I started trying harder. Canceled one of my weekend gigs to surprise her with breakfast, brought her flowers, even sat through a reality show marathon I'd normally make fun of. She smiled a little, said thank you, but it was like watching someone smile through a window, pretty, polite, and far away. Then came the texts she wouldn't let me see. The gym sessions she started going to alone. The new lingerie she bought but never wore for me. And every time I reached out, it felt like grabbing air. It happened on a Wednesday night, one of those long shifts that blur into the next. I came home half dead, still in my uniform, craving nothing but a shower and sleep. Emily was already in bed, pretending again. I walked to the kitchen to grab some water and saw a folded receipt on the counter. It wasn't mine. I opened it without thinking. A dinner for two at a luxury restaurant across town. 2 entrees, wine, dessert, the date stamped right there last Friday. The night I'd been working overtime to cover our mortgage payment. My stomach turned. The next morning, I asked casually, "How was dinner last Friday?" She blinked. "What dinner?" I held up the receipt. "This one." She laughed. "That nervous kind that grates on your nerves?" "Oh, that. It was a work thing. We went out after a meeting." "Who's we?" I asked. "Just coworkers. You don't know them." Her tone was clipped now, defensive. I nodded slowly, pretending to buy it. But something about the way she wouldn't meet my eyes told me everything I needed to know. A few days later, I was on break at work when one of my coworkers, Mark, sent me a message. "Hey man, hate to say this, but I saw your wife at Angelo's last week." She wasn't alone. He described the guy. Tall, athletic, the same build as the gym friend she always mentioned. I stared at my phone, heart pounding in my throat. I wanted to call her, confront her, demand the truth, but I didn't. Instead, I started keeping track, quietly. Screenshots of her texts, late-night calls, sudden errands. If she was going to make me look like a fool, I'd make sure I had proof when it all came crashing down. It happened by accident. I wasn't snooping, not really. I was just trying to pay our internet bill while my laptop updated. Hers was already open on the kitchen counter, screen still glowing from whatever she'd just walked away from. I sat down, logged into the service provider, and right as I was about to close out, I saw the folder. It was tucked into the documents drive, buried under layers of generic names, photos too, work files, taxes, 2022, but something about it made me pause. The last folder was labeled Read Later. I clicked dot. Inside were dozens of screenshots and images, some of them mine. Pictures I had taken of us on our honeymoon, vacations, birthdays, but mixed in were new ones, pictures I'd never seen, selfies of Emily in that navy-laced lingerie I never got to see in person. Her lying in bed, laughing, lips pouted at the camera. None of those were sent to me. Then came the screenshots of texts. Her and some guy, the gym friend, no doubt, joking about me. He thinks I'm working late again. LOL. You're gonna have to be quiet tonight. Ugh, he's like a ghost. Just works and sleeps. No fun. There was one that made me go cold. A picture of her in my old hoodie. The one I'd worn every night after work for years. He doesn't even know you had it on his pillow. I don't remember how long I sat there. Could have been 10 minutes. Could have been an hour. All I know is that the silence of that kitchen felt louder than any screaming match ever could. That night, I didn't say a word to her. I acted normal, ate dinner, kissed her cheek, but inside, something broken, something else started to take its place. 2 days after I found that folder, 2 days after seeing her half naked in my hoodie while texting that man, she looked me dead in the eyes over burnt toast and said, "We should take a trip, just the two of us." I nearly choked on my coffee. "A trip?" I asked, careful to keep my voice flat. Calm, measured. "Yeah," she said with this lazy smile, like nothing was broken. "Maybe Cancun. We need to reconnect. Get away from all this stress. You've been so tense lately." I stared at her, wondering if this was her way of playing damage control. Or maybe she just wanted a luxury vacation with the man she was already fantasizing about. Either way, it hit me. She still thought she had control over me, over the house, over our money. "I'll think about it," I said, nodding. "Let me see how my shifts line up." But that was the moment something shifted. I stopped thinking like a husband and started thinking like a survivor. She'd used me emotionally, financially, even logistically. And while I was breaking my body working double shifts, she was out whining and dining with someone who got the best version of her while I got the scraps. That night, I started making a list on my phone. Quietly, every bill in her name, every joint account, every item in the house that I paid for outright. It was longer than I thought. She wasn't going to get a scene from me, no yelling, no dramatic confrontation. She was going to get silence, and the sound of everything she thought she controlled, slipping right out from under her. I started with the small stuff. "Hey," I said one night, as we were brushing our teeth, "I'm thinking about consolidating our bills just to make things easier. That way I can handle everything from one account since I'm already managing most of it." She didn't even question it, just muttered something about "that's fine" through a mouthful of toothpaste. That was her first mistake. Within a week, I had the water, electricity, and internet switched over. Then the car insurance. Then the joint credit card I'd been paying off solo for months. I called the bank, adjusted our shared account permissions, and opened a separate one in my name. I told her it was just for handling freelance deposits, and she barely blinked. The mortgage was the trickiest part. I played the long game. Told her I was talking to a loan officer to refinance at a lower rate, something to free up extra money for that vacation. She lit up at the word vacation, her eyes gleaming like she still had me wrapped. When the power of attorney form arrived in the mail, she signed it without reading. I watched her do it while she was scrolling TikTok, laughing at some dumb video while handing over the keys to her own downfall. Meanwhile, I started moving valuables into storage. One small box at a time, some tools, my collectibles, old photo albums from my side of the family. She didn't notice. She was too busy posting gym selfies and texting the man who probably thought she was single. I didn't need revenge. I needed freedom, and every form she signed, every account she handed over, was a quiet step toward the exit. she was playing checkers. I was building a damn tunnel. I wasn't ready for who he was. Up until that point, I'd been building my escape quietly, focusing on logistics, keeping my emotions locked down. But one night, curiosity got the best of me. I reverse searched a phone number from one of their texts she didn't hide well enough. Just a last name, a LinkedIn profile. And then it hit me, he was her boss. Not just some coworker or gym trainer, her direct superior. VP of sales, married, 2 kids. The same guy whose name I'd seen scribbled on her notebooks, whose company card she always forgot to use for work expenses. Suddenly, the Cancun trip made sense. The late meetings, the conferences. She wasn't just cheating. She was building a second life, tethered to someone else's husband, someone with power, money, and influence. And me. I was the cushion, the safety net, the fool paying her rent while she played house in hotel rooms. I wanted to rage, to call him, call his wife, blow the whole thing wide open. But I didn't. Instead, I took screenshots. I archived emails, saved voice messages where they slipped up. I documented everything and stored it in a cloud folder titled Emily Final. I didn't know exactly how this would end, but now the game had changed. This wasn't just betrayal, it was calculation. She hadn't just fallen into an affair. She was strategizing. And that meant I needed to move faster, because women like Emily don't just leave, they upgrade. And I was about to make sure she lost everything she thought she was trading up from. I'd taken a vacation day from my day job and faked a late-night freelance gig to Emily. She barely noticed, too busy packing for a weekend conference. I kissed her on the forehead as she left, suitcase in hand, probably thinking she was about to spend 72 hours in a hotel suite with her boss. I waited exactly 15 minutes after her car pulled out of the driveway. Then I moved. The truck rental was already parked 2 blocks away. I'd paid cash. The storage unit was prepaid for 6 months. I called in 2 favors, my buddy from work and my cousin, both sworn to secrecy. Both willing to help load everything up, we moved fast. I had a detailed list: electronics, furniture, kitchenware, heirlooms, everything I had paid for. The house wasn't empty by the end of the night, but it was gutted of anything valuable. What was left looked like a bad Airbnb: a couch, a TV stand with no TV. A few spoons. I left her a note on the fridge. Short, clean, no venom. You wanted space. Now you have it. Good luck explaining why everything's gone. Then I turned off my phone. Deleted my social apps. Rerouted mail. Canceled her access to the joint account. I even contacted the bank to report her card as lost, the same one she used for all her little secret dinners. By midnight, I was on the road to my new apartment, 3 cities away, no forwarding address, just silence and the faint smell of betrayal still clinging to the clothes I hadn't washed yet. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just drove. Because when a woman burns down your house while smiling at you through the smoke, you don't try to save it, you build somewhere else. I turned my phone back on 48. Hours later, it was like unleashing a dam. 42 missed calls. Dozens of voicemails. Over 100 texts. The first few were frantic, confused. Where are you? What happened to the house? Are you okay? Then came the rage. You're insane. You'll regret this. You can't just take everything. Oh, but I could. And I did. Legally, cleanly, and without ever raising my voice. The next day, I got a call from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something told me to. On the other end was a low, threatening voice. Her boss. He told me to back off, that I was making a mistake, that things like this can get ugly. I didn't flinch. I calmly told him I had screenshots, emails, recordings, described the hotel dates down to the booking codes then. I asked if his wife would prefer Dropbox links or printed copies. Silence. That was the last time I heard from him. Later that week, a mutual friend texted me, "Bro, Emily's office is imploding. HR got involved. Her guy's been put on leave. She's saying it's all a misunderstanding." She went from Instagram perfect couple selfies to complete digital silence in less than 72 hours. And me, I was sitting on a lawn chair in my empty apartment, drinking gas station coffee and watching the sunrise through dusty blinds. No furniture yet, no bed, but peace. That I had in full supply, because while she was spiraling, trying to figure out where it all went wrong, I was just getting started on a life where I didn't have to beg someone to love me, right? I thought that would be the end of it. I thought once she realized the game was over, she'd shrink away, quietly lick her wounds, maybe move on to her next target. But Emily wasn't wired like that. Losing control didn't humble her. It made her dangerous. A week after I disappeared, mutual friends started reaching out, not to check on me, but to question me. "Hey man, I heard you just walked out on her." Emily said, "You got paranoid, controlling that you isolated her." She painted herself as the wounded wife abandoned by a workaholic husband who didn't emotionally support her, said she tried everything to save the marriage, claimed I left her with nothing, out of spite. The worst part, some people believed her. People I'd known for years, college friends, her cousins, who used to call me the most patient man alive. I even got a call from my own aunt, asking if I was okay, if I was going through something. I hung up and just sat there, staring at the wall. Was this really how it ended? After everything I did to protect her, to provide for her, was I now the villain in my own story? For the first time in weeks, I felt hollow, not angry, not vindicated, just ... broken. It wasn't the betrayal that hurt the most. It was watching the truth bend so easily in her hands, like it never mattered. But the universe has a strange way of tipping the scales, because that same night, I got a message from someone I didn't expect. An old friend of Emily's. She did the same thing to her last boyfriend. You just didn't know. Screenshots followed. Stories, patterns, a whole web of lies she'd spun over the years, and in that moment, I realized this wasn't about me being enough. It was about her never being real in the first place. The divorce wasn't messy, not because she didn't try, but because I didn't give her the room to twist it into something it wasn't. I came in with documents, dates, evidence, every lie cataloged, every dollar tracked. Her lawyer looked exhausted by the second meeting. Mine barely said a word, just slid over the folder I labeled Emily Timeline of Infidelity, and let the silence do the talking. She begged for mediation, said she made a mistake, that she was in a dark place and didn't know how to ask for help. I sat across from her, watched tears slide down cheeks I used to kiss goodnight, and felt nothing, not rage, not satisfaction, just a kind of cold acceptance that comes when the illusion fully breaks. "I worked myself into the ground for you," I said softly. "You didn't ask for help. You asked for options." Her face hardened. That fake grief slipped right off. In the end, she got the couch, the broken microwave, and a few boxes of memories I didn't want. I kept the house, the car, the savings, everything I had built while she was pretending to be Sumon's girlfriend in hotel rooms. She moved back in with her parents. I heard she was applying for jobs in another city. Good. Meanwhile, I got the final papers on a Tuesday afternoon. I held them in my hands for a long time, not because I was sad, but because I couldn't believe how light they felt. Like freedom shouldn't weigh more than a few pages in ink, I didn't frame them. I didn't burn them. I just folded them neatly, placed them in a drawer, and went outside to breathe air that didn't smell like pretending. It's been 7 months since I left. There's no dramatic ending. No slow-motion montage of me getting revenge or posting cryptic quotes on social media. Healing, I've learned, doesn't come with applause. It's quiet, it's slow, and it's unbelievably heavy at first. Some mornings, I still wake up expecting to hear her footsteps in the hallway. Muscle memory is a cruel thing. But then I remember I'm alone now. And that's not a curse. It's a clean slate. I furnished the new apartment piece by piece. No rush, no pressure to impress anyone. Just comfort. My kind of comfort. A couch I can fall asleep on. A coffee maker that makes just enough for one. A bookshelf full of things I actually love no more. Fake plants or overpriced home decor for Instagram likes. I go for walks now. No destination. Just movement. I breathe in the air like it owes me peace, and for the first time, it feels like it's giving something back. People still ask about her sometimes. Mutual friends, old coworkers. I just smile and say, we went different directions. They don't need the whole story. Not everyone earns access to your scars. The last message I ever got from her simply said, I miss the way you used to look at me. I didn't respond, because she was right. I used to look at her like she was my home. Now I know better, because home isn't a person. It's the way your chest stops aching when you stop forcing something broken to hold your weight. And these days, I live in quiet rooms, surrounded by my own peace, and every echo reminds me silence isn't emptiness, it's freedom.